Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Still on the road to Riyadh, this time with the American Regional Qualifiers for day number 2. You guys are going to be accompanied by me, Mirko, and Burger Kim here for our first match, which is quite a big one here. How are you feeling, Burger Kim?
Well, I guess I'm getting all of the United States matches, and it's just really exciting to see them come up on stream every single time, because knowing that they're probably one of the most seasoned teams here in the Americas region, and I can't wait. Fried Horse, high loss. We've seen a lot of uncontemporary picks for them, and hopefully for today, expect to see more surprises from USA.
Definitely. I think, the horse caught us by surprise yesterday, just kind of bit, even though we kind of expected the pick. We didn't expect it to be able to be as dominant as it was yesterday. And interestingly enough, White Horse banned out the horse in game number 2. So we'll see if this continues to be a super prio pick, as we have seen it picked in the first phase and then banned out in game number 2. Maybe some other teams will be able to utilize this quote-unquote prio pick to really, punish White Horse and his horse schematics here. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the schedule for today. We are going to start things off with USA going up against Costa Rica. We have obviously a lot of different matches here, but we will only be streaming a total of 4 matches. So some of the matches that you see on your screen will actually be played off stream.
Yep. Actually, you guys can get an update on iesf.gg/tournaments. You guys can check out the Americas A online, so that's currently ongoing, so you can see the results and standings as well if you guys want to be updated on all of the matches, even the ones that aren't streamed, so you guys can check it out later on. But for now, yeah, these are all the matches for today. And I think what's really exciting, Mirko, about the first few days of every single tournament is that you kind of get a feel of what everybody is like, right? Like you get a vibe check of every single team, and yeah, this is the time to actually take some notes, especially for some of the teams that are looking to make it, especially in the latter parts of this tournament.
We've seen, I think already a lot of the teams, we kind of got a glimpse of their strength, even in the final match, going all the way for a best of 3. It went for the full series there. So unlike the African regional qualifiers, and I feel like even unlike the Asian regional qualifiers, where most matches were just 2-0, I think for me and Naisu, most part we just had to cast 2-0 games.
Oh
We
yeah.
actually found a really good competition there for Argentina versus Brazil, and I'm expecting the same later on for our final match of the day in Argentina versus Chile. But we'll have to see. Obviously, for the Argentinian players, they've had so much more experience in the international stage, and I think it's kind of the same here when we're talking about USA. You've already mentioned them just yesterday, talking about how experienced every single member is, and I think the gameplay definitely shows exactly that, right? The reflection of their experience was in the game itself. They were just so disciplined all throughout, understanding when their power spikes will hit, and even in the draft, really just understanding the prio picks, and also understanding how to mix the comfort with the prio.
Right.
And here it is, United States versus Costa Rica. We're going to be talking about this match. What are you expecting, Burger Kim, for Costa Rica?
I feel like Costa Rica, again, they can pull off, use and abuse them. And I was talking to Naisu about this, right? Like, there's a lot of really good heroes that work very well in the current meta. So you guys, if they can use it to their advantage, right? Because USA is known to be a little bit more uncontemporary. You guys have seen it yesterday in their picks. So I think for Costa Rica, if they stick to the basics, that would do them great, especially in matches like this where the opponent is a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more experienced when it comes to like tournaments. But this is something for every single country that's competing here in IESF. You guys need to get that XP, and this is the best place to get it, right? Going up against these bigger teams, and hopefully for them, like, basics, I think they should stick with that. Maybe not like overthink the draft too much, because sometimes it really does mess up with your mind. But then let's take a look at the lineup here, Mirko, of USA. That's White Horse, or aka Fried Chicken. You got Melon, you got Tarzan, you got Hoon, or Kimchi. Was it Kimchi Man, or was it Kimchi Guy?
Kimchi Man, yeah.
Kimchi Man, I like that. It rolls off the tongue really well. So that's also aka Hoon. You got Shark as well here. He's known as Mega Shark over on screen. But you guys know the names. Some of these names you've encountered, especially in the major tournaments of MLBB. So it is no surprise that these are, of course, I would say fan favorites, or a highly anticipated team here in the Americas qualifiers.
Most definitely, right? I think they are the favorites coming into the tournament, the favorites to qualify to IESF for WEC 2024 in Riyadh. We're on the road to that, and again, like we already said earlier, the fact that, their experience, it's evident here. You see the names, you know exactly where they've been, where they've played. I think for Tarzan and Melon, though, it's a bit different. So it's kind of a mix where they have a lot of veteran players here, like Chicken, Moon, Shark. But there are some newcomers coming down, and these are not newcomers in the region alone. They've been playing domestically, but in the international scene, it's a completely different stage, right? And I'm glad to see that Tarzan and Melon, they've been performing really, really well. We saw them pop off a whole lot yesterday. Tarzan on the Roger Jungle, I believe, and even for Melon, I think we were able to take a look at the Ruby Gold. And by the way, American Regional Qualifiers, a great place to display the Ruby Gold. For the most part, I think in other tournaments, we haven't really been able to see that many Ruby Gold lane work. But for some reason here, it's all about the team fights, and they're able to, really find the value in that Ruby pick. So let's welcome Costa Rica as well. This is their lineup. You got Elisa, Forsaken, Danny Prado. You got Priscilla Zirael Aguilar, Gino, MOBA Stream. MOBA Stream, we got MOBA Zane. For
MOBA Stream.
Usually this is MOBA Stream. Guerrero, Gabriel Gabarobo Chavez, and Daniel Hoop Mosquera.
Wow.
So we have MOBA Stream and we have Hoop.
Instead of
similar names.
Wow. I don't even know. I feel like they planned this out, like having Costa Rica and USA open up the day for day number 2. I was actually looking at the rosters and I was talking to you about it off cam, Mirko. Like I was saying, wow, is that for real? And then we actually streamed it here. Yeah, it's real. Don't mistake it for MOBA Zame. This is an entirely different player. MOBA Stream. Hoop. These are players from Costa Rica, so they're gonna be going up against USA. But no MOBA Zane for the US, and you're gonna be seeing Hoon as well, but he's gonna be playing as Kimchi Man. So that's gonna be pretty interesting too, and very timely as well that Hoon changes IGN in the nick of time here for the Americas regional qualifiers. But again, stick to the basics here for Costa Rica, especially going up against a very seasoned United States.
Got to agree. But I think, at this point as well for Costa Rica, maybe in game number 1, they can try to surprise the United States, right? Because for the most part, especially when we're talking about United States having so much more experience, having just, I would say, so much more mechanical power as well, based on, what we've seen so far, maybe it's good to actually go for a lot of the cheese picks, right? Because even in other tournaments, when we do see a best of 3 still in the group stages, a lot of teams like to experiment. A lot of teams would like to utilize the crazy nature of the group stage to go for a lot of cheese picks to actually get these games, because really every single game matters. It can come down to that in the final day as to who qualifies to the next stage. And again, like Burger Kim mentioned, you guys can go ahead and check it out, IESF.gg. Check out all the schedule that we'll have all the way to the final day of the American Regional Qualifiers, and obviously get your updates on some of the matches that are being played off stream, because US is going to be playing 2 times a day. We're only going to see them once on stream. So if you want to take a look at if suddenly the team is able to get the underdog victory, who knows? You've seen a lot of different upsets happen here and there across the MLBB ecosystem. I think it's a great time to actually see a lot of the upsets, right? A lot of countries regions where we really didn't expect to shine have been shining, just like Malaysia. And we'll see. Maybe we get a
even in the
gem
women's,
here.
right? Even in the women's scene, it's huge. I mean, I love seeing the competitive scene grow a little bit more, right? Like for, I think for the MSC, I was pleasantly surprised, and at the same time really happy, because I got to have like a couple of show matches with Innocent, and now seeing his progress from that going all the way to get MSC. And even for I actually cried when I watched like the MWI this year, because I've casted all of the games of the ladies of Smart Omega, and then coming into like this season, this year, I think it's just their era. So I'm really happy for the ecosystem, and hopefully for the other regions as well, the European qualifiers, the American qualifiers. Hopefully we can see some upsets here and there. And yeah, like what you mentioned, cheese picks can work. We've seen it in several teams, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think it's a risk that you have to be willing to take.
Definitely. I think it's worth a shot here up against such an overwhelming force like the United States in the American Regional Qualifiers. And I like that you brought up, the women's scene here, because we're not forgetting about the women's, not at all. On the 6th of August, ladies and gentlemen, you guys will be seeing actually some of the matches here played as well on stream. So we have 4 matches for MLBB women's to also qualify to IESF, the main event later, where we're also going to have a women's division for MLBB, which is great, great stuff, right? It's great that we see the women's as well as the men's all compete. And this time, I think it's a bit different, right? Because at MWI, it was great seeing that story, but representing your country is always so much more.
Yep.
I would say there's a lot more pride in it, right? Just to represent your country, not just playing for the org, but playing for your nation. Perfect timing as well, as we're kind of like, in the Olympic stage as well. We've got a lot of country national pride here being thrown out, but let's take again to American regional qualifiers for the match we have, match number 1. Costa Rica. If it isn't, the cheese picks that come through in game number 1, I feel like it has to be comfort, because I think this is one of the games where you need to throw prio out the window. You need to try to just play whatever you're comfortable at and try to catch United States off guard.
Yeah, I mean, if you overthink the draft, it might be really difficult for your team, right? Like you put out a hero that you're not so comfortable with. I do agree, it might not produce the results that you actually want. So I guess, apart from having the cheese picks, just make sure that you're comfortable working around the hero and make sure that it has like the right combinations as well. I mean, sometimes I would see like really weird pickups on like combinations. Like you would combine like there was a time I saw like a Carmilla and the Novari. So it was like a really weird pickup. Like individually, the heroes are good, but if you combine them together, like there's just absolutely like, I mean, there could be synergy, but you have to work around it, right? So again, it's insane. Like United States again opening it up with Costa Rica here. Hopefully, we see at least a game number 3, because so far, Mirko, yesterday it has been sweeps left and right for the Americas.
Yeah, we got 2-0s for the first 3 matches, and finally, I thought again that we would be given a full first day of sweeps, because that's really the pattern that we've been seeing. Me and Naisu, especially when we're talking about the African region qualifiers and the Asian region qualifiers. So it's already great to see that some of these teams are already very, very competitive, because in match number 4 in the series, none of the games were snubs. I think every single one of those games went over the 17th minute, and they had to get the Evolved Lord to actually end the game. And I just personally really love to see how both teams have been able to utilize the new changes in the patch, right? With Summon Lord having less HP now, when the first Summon Lord having less HP, but then growing by the minute. The HP growth per minute has been buffed. So in the later stage, it does become more lethal. Yeah, you are going to have a better time actually sieging your base. But at least in the early game, it kind of prevents, those 10 minutes, 11-minute games that we have been seeing still a whole lot of, despite the change. So, also
9 minutes and 57 yesterday,
exactly.
Mirko. That was like a real...
50.
I mean, there are times that I would see that, wow, you can actually end the game after the first Lord. And I think that's one of the welcome change that some of the teams would love to go for, especially since it's mostly like the assassins that we're talking about, right? Like when you have a very good early game, get the first Lord, you can actually take in the game or eventually, get a match point for the next game. So it's just very crucial to have like, at least like for me, game number 1 for both of the qualifiers that I've casted. Like that's something that the teams need to consider here going into this first matchup that we have.
I think for United States as well, by the way, if we're just taking a look at the standings, they are very, very safe as of right now. Haven't dropped a single match at all. They're standing there, but it does seem like for a lot of the other teams here, and by the way, for Americas, we do have 2 groups, right? We have America A and America B. Yeah, so United States actually are in America A, together with Ecuador, Colombia, that we also got a glimpse of, Guatemala just yesterday too. And it does seem like for United States, they're just really, popping off at this point. I feel like at this point, what do you have to really do? Try to take them down? Or maybe for a lot of the other teams who are, competing now, do they just look at the other teams and maybe just write off United States? Or like think about, okay, United States, we won't even try to actually think about, beating them. Might as well look for points in other matches.
Oh, yeah.
But also, Costa Rica, technically also undefeated. They are also standing at 2 wins and 0 losses, together with Mexico. So Mexico, Costa Rica, and the United States all tied up for first place. This is definitely going to be very, very interesting to see how United States actually goes up against Costa Rica, because from the matches, it does seem like Costa Rica has a good grasp on the meta.
Yeah, I mean, pulling off a 2-0, even though like it's you would say it's like a BO3, right? It's not that easy to pull it off, especially going up against like other regions that you don't really have that much information. So yeah, Costa Rica's undefeated, even the United States. So I think this is going to be something that will set the momentum, especially for Costa Rica moving forward into this tournament. We have a couple of other matches for today as well. Like some of the teams you've already seen, some teams that you guys might have heard of, but you haven't seen them on stream. So I think one of them is Guadalupe that will be playing here today, and even Mexico. I've had the privilege of like seeing these teams play last year, but hopefully like coming into this year, it's a new patch. 1 year can definitely change things. So hopefully, again, we've seen like a lot of improvements as well for some of the teams that came back here this year for the Americas qualifiers and shown some progress.
I think the progress is really what has impressed me throughout the years, because I was actually given the opportunity to cast for the first ever IESF with MLBB in 2021. It was in Bali, right? And it really looked like for the most part it was just the Southeast Asian countries that were dominating the scene, and we didn't really get to see a lot of the other nations pop off. But as the years go by, 2022, we saw that, 2023 as well, it was a steady growth all throughout, and now we're at a point where, you know, a lot of the regions that we used to count out, now they're actually on the world stage, proving the whole world wrong as to, you know, who really is the best region in the world. And I think you also got that glimpse of, you know, how Turkey played in the European qualifiers.
Oh yeah.
And now we get to see them finally representing their countries.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, playing for your org, playing for your country is a bit different, but we're going to jump straight into the draft. For game number 1 here, Team USA on the blue side, we have Costa Rica on red. Juicin banned out. Ling 2. USA so far, doesn't matter what side they're in, they're always banning out the Ling, and now the Sask too. So are they setting up for a possible horse pickup? First pick.
Oh, yeah, that's very much possible, right? With these first two picks, or first two bans rather, of USA. I'm actually looking into the fact that USA has pulled up a lot of like alphas, especially in the games yesterday. So I think they might set up for something similar here in this game, or maybe perhaps like a Roger, which we've seen also on Tarzan. So I think USA, they banned away the Ling, knowing that it is the most OP, I would say. The Fanny and the Ling is on top of my list when it comes to the bans. Great way to snowball in the early game, and definitely you can take the game as early as yesterday. We've had a game 9 minutes and 57 seconds from the United States. So I mean if you give out those heroes, it's really going to be hard, not unless you can manage to kind of tango with them in the early game. So this means that you know, Costa Rica as well, respecting the fact that, you know, USA goes for a lot of these uncontemporary picks, Mirko, and the Phobius actually being banned away. I'm actually wondering if they will ban away White Horse's high loss, which was actually banned away by USA themselves yesterday. So they can actually start up with that. Very safe choice. I think some of the teams also use the high loss in the roam position, very flexible. So let's see if Costa Rica will kind of respond to that. But they're just gonna go for a little bit more of the standard bans here, mostly assassin. So what will USA kind of start out with? Roger?
Your team is picking.
Safe choice.
Safe choice. Definitely Roger. You know, it's a great flex pick. Does really well in both roles that he can flex to, in the gold lane and in the jungle. Instant response though, the Valentina and the Terizla. Really setting up for that jungle to be an assassin too, and having a lot of skirmish power. So Team USA, you might want to take away the jungle now from Team Costa Rica. Or actually, you know what? Yeah, might as well just use the Roger as flex towards the second phase. They can pick up the Julian. That would be a safe choice too if they want to just, you know, pick up a solid jungler. Taken away from what seems to be what Costa Rica are already setting up for. Edith plus the Roger, a lot of skirmishing power, but usually we don't see the Edith when the Valentina is already picked up on the other side, right? So this is definitely a sign that Team USA want to go for a lot of big ultimates to overwhelm the Valentina. We do see the horse, or White Chicken, aka White Horse here, who's changed his IGN just for the high loss.
Yeah, just for the Americas qualifier. So I guess props to that for White Horse. Definitely, I think he's kind of making a statement here saying that, yep, I'm definitely going to use this. He actually banned this away in the second game yesterday. So coming into this, Valentina just has a whole lot more like ultimates to choose from, and it's going to be really hard to, like, if they all group up together. I mean, if you have a high loss in your composition, you will kind of want to group up together, use the high loss as front. But wow, I really don't know what to say, Mirko, because I honestly love seeing the Carmilla in every single composition. But going up against a super beefy lineup here of USA, they don't really have that much peel, not unless they're going to go for, marksmen that can shred apart the front line, Claude, perhaps maybe even Moskov here. But yeah, we're going into the second banning phase, and the Loy is going to be taken out here by Costa Rica.
And also, I think the big concern with the Carmilla pick is the fact that for USA, usually you go Carmilla up against a composition that is that wants to really group up. And yes, USA can definitely do that. They can clump up and go for a lot of the team fights together. But I think they have a lot of different options. They actually have ways to team fight it a little bit more chaotically, a little bit more split up. They don't really need to be, as Gideon would put it, very together. They can actually split up quite a bit. So yeah, the Carmilla is outplayable. You can actually find ways to outplay the Carmilla there. A good Moscow ban coming down here. It does seem like they are thinking of putting the Roger in the gold lane. It does seem like they're just going to try to narrow down as many gold lane, ban out as many gold lane picks here away from Team Costa Rica to give the Roger an amazing lane and maybe still pick up that assassin because it's still up for grabs. It's a Lunox and the Lo Yi ban. Really respecting Hoon. Team Costa Rica here.
I think I was thinking more along the lines of Lilia, but with the performance of Hoon, Mr. Kimchi Man yesterday, I think it's very evident that Costa Rica has been doing their research as well, picking up a whole lot of kills, especially on the first game. So I think it's more of like Costa Rica is just taking in what the USA has showed yesterday and kind of like reflecting it in the draft. The alpha ban comes through here for the United States. Still anticipating the possible jungler here for Costa Rica. Looking at like the other assassins that are available, we don't actually see a lot of like Lancelots, right, Mirko? Mostly like the Lynx, the Hayabusa, and even the Fanny, if you guys are comfortable with it. But does this mean like we're gonna go back into like fighter junglers for this game? Because it seems like the options are so limited.
I think there's definitely a chance to see that. I think for Team Costa Rica, probably, if they still want to go assassin, it'll probably be the Julian. It will put them in a tough spot though, because then they're gonna have to go for. Actually, no, they can still go for a marksman, right, for physical damage, anyways. So it seems they want to just read out what USA want to do. They don't want to rush into that Julian pick just yet. They want to see if the Roger is actually gonna be in the jungle or in the gold lane. And Team USA, they're gonna have to reveal that right now. Based on the composition, I would say Roger Gold makes sense. Going up against the carry, you have a whole lot of prio, and they can actually play around that prio. The Lilia does come into the mid lane together with the Edith here. So, really amazing clear. I mean, just the Edith alone, if you combo it together with any mage, you already have so much mid prio. Now add in the Lilia, and Costa Rica are definitely going to struggle there in the mid lane. But they go for the Roger in the jungle. They pick up a Melissa for the gold lane. So, if you're already expecting the Roger to have a good time, the Melissa is going to have a better time now against the carry.
Yeah, I'm actually okay, the carry was more of like an answer to the Edith and the Hylos, right? Like to kind of be like that tank killer. But with this lineup of the US, it's not going to be easy for the carry, especially even for the early game. Like we were talking about, the Roger laning with the carry is already hard enough. But having the Melissa here, she's definitely going to have a field day here. Not unless Costa Rica can have like somebody that can rotate as fast, clear as fast as the Roger. They still don't have a jungler here. Are they going to go for, again, early game? Because it seems like, again, a very scaling lineup here with the carry. They can sustain on the XP. So will they go for an assassin? Oh, wait. Is this final? So does this mean it's a Carmilla jungle for Costa Rica? I know that is a thing.
Yeah. It is. It is Carmilla jungle. Oh, I mean, it's a very, very interesting composition to see for Costa Rica. I think the big question has got to be how well does the Carmilla actually farm out in the jungle compared to someone like a Roger, who's already been tested. The Roger's been able to farm out so fast in the jungle. You usually are able to. You're up there when it comes to fastest clearers of the jungle. So that's been the big problem for a lot of the utility junglers. Let's see if Carmilla can actually make a name for herself in the jungle again, because we did see this I think 2-3 patches ago.
Yeah, I think for MPL Philippines it was a repeat pick, especially for Sinsuif of Blacklist International. He loves picking up this hero. If not, like, it was a switch between this or the Fredrin. I think this was the time when the Assassin still wasn't a thing. So the Carmilla was huge, especially for Blacklist International. I think it's a very good way to layer the combos here as well for Costa Rica. Like if you can't land the Curse of Blood, you still have the implosion here, or you have the penalty zone. So there's like 3 ways to set up the plays here. Whereas USA is more of like, frontlining with the high loss, having the Edit to have that onward. So in terms of setup, I would say that Costa Rica has a whole lot more because you have 3 heroes that can do that. But for the United States, they're gonna have to rely on the team fights here that will be set up here by Shark or perhaps even Fried Horse.
You can even add in the Valentina that can still take away the Primal
Oh,
Wrath,
yeah.
Glorious Pathway, and obviously the Black Shoes too. So even if Valentina gets caught in the tough spot, you can always just use that Lilia Black Shoes to get out of a tough situation. So many different ways for Team Costa Rica to actually engage, like you mentioned. The lockdown is quite ridiculous, right? There's so much, really. They can keep on layering that too. So even if Team USA decides to go for multiple Purifies, it's still going to be a big problem for them because the layering of CC might be a bit too much, might be a bit too overwhelming for USA. But if we take a look at the Melissa as well, I really don't think the Purify is even there to go for. I think for sure with the Melissa pick, usually we just see the Inspire. That definitely will put Melon
Or even
in a
the
very
Aegis at
dangerous
times.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very dangerous situation for Melon here, up against the Tig, Terizla, and the Carmilla. And we're still waiting, ladies and gentlemen, to get into the game, so please be patient with us. I believe there is a technical pause right now to try to fix some of the issues that is going on. Trying to troubleshoot that.
Yeah, I think it's a problem since yesterday, so hopefully this time it's going to be a little bit more smoother. Let's just wait for the call from the team to actually get into the Land of Dawn, make it a little bit more exciting this time since BO3 once again here for the United States and Costa Rica. Both of them haven't lost a single match so far in the Americas regional qualifier, so this is going to be very interesting. Somebody is definitely going to break that win streak, and honestly you wouldn't want that, right? So I'm expecting to see a very exciting game. Definitely a lot of team fights here, Mirko. I mean, you can see it already from the lineup of Costa Rica, but United States, they just really know how to work well with every single composition that they put out. So let's see if they can finally, continue their win streak here.
Does seem like from what I am hearing, it does seem like we're going to have a remake a bit there. I'm not too sure if the drafts are going to change, if there's going to be, different picks all around, or if it's just going to be a change in lobby and then they'll have the same exact picks due to some connection issues.
Yep.
I believe. I don't know. Because we did see Hoon have the same problems just yesterday, dying twice on the Chusin. We have confirmation that it will be the same draft. So it won't be, a whole full redraft. It won't be a completely new draft. It'll be the exact same. So at least in that department, we're just going to have to wait now. The only problem might be your patience as a viewer. But it's all good, right? We got me, we got him here to accompany you guys through this few more minutes as they go back into the drafting phase and repick their hero.
Yeah, it's gonna be blitzing through the draft. It's gonna be really easy, so just be patient. This is what happens sometimes, right? Especially when you get really hyped up about a matchup and it gets delayed. But don't worry, it's gonna be there. And looking again at the lineups of these two, there's really nothing much I can say, right? Like really good drafts coming out from both sides. I would say comforts have been given, but it's a matter of again using it to its fullest potential. You can have all these great like CCs from your skills, especially from Costa Rica, but if you can't pull off these combinations right, it's not gonna work as well. So there has to be that synergy as well. I think that's the same case when you're either casting with somebody new or maybe even for professional players, right? Like you kind of have to get like a vibe check on like, okay, what's this player like? What's his play style like? You kind of have to match that. And I think that's very vital for the newer teams that are coming in here to the America Regional Qualifiers.
Definitely. Every one of these teams are going to have to also kind of throw the jitters out the window because playing online is different as well, right? Again, representing your nation. We were talking about how it's very good in terms of like, yeah, you're going to have that pride, but it can also be a double-edged sword when you represent your nation. In one way, you're going to be very obviously proud to represent your nation. You're going to have a lot of confidence there, but some players actually, when they are put in a position like this, that pressure does tend to actually, impact their performances. And I hope for both these teams, we won't be seeing that, especially for Costa Rica, because in this matchup, obvious favorites are going to be Team United States. And I hope for Costa Rica they don't see it that way. I hope for them they see United States, the players there as just normal human beings. Because I think when we're talking about favorites versus underdogs, the longest time how the underdogs have been able to come out on top, at least in Southeast Asia, has been this is the saying: they are all human too. They're normal. They also eat the same rice we eat, right? That's a term that we usually say, and it's great to have that behind your mind, like in your mind, while you're playing up against some of the top dogs of MLBB in the American region. For Costa Rica, they're very, very new. They can use that to maybe utilize how United States can actually underestimate them. Because again, when we're talking about some of these countries who are definite favorites coming into the matchups, they do tend to underestimate their opponents, not respecting them, and going for a lot of overextensions. And yes, like you said, it has happened. It's happened way too much for us to really count anyone out.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at what you mentioned earlier too, like in MSC, right? I think, it was YDG, Yodo Regents, that won the MSC, right? And I think especially for the Southeast Asian region, I think a lot of us are either preparing for like the Indo versus PH matchup, or maybe like it's usually that case, right? Or PH versus PH. Some people would say like Indo versus Indo, but I think a lot of teams really underestimated like YDG, and that's probably the reason why too that they were able to come up on top and actually eventually get in the win for MSC. So I think it really stunned a lot of people in Southeast Asia, and especially for people who have been following the MLBB scene. So hopefully in these regions that are developing, I would really love to see a little bit more competition, and having tournaments like IESF, like regional qualifiers for every single country. It's just a really nice, it's a breath of fresh air, I would say, especially for the teams who really want to make it out there, make a name for themselves, and eventually get into the world stage.
Getting to the world stage is already really, really tough for some of them, right? And that's why for me personally, it's always good to see, I mean, for ISF, I really just love ISF all the way from 2021 because it has given a lot of other regions, a lot of even just, nations in the regions some more spotlight. Because all the way in the last 3 years, when have we ever heard of Costa Rica, Guatemala playing in the international stage for MLBB? So it really is giving the spotlight to a lot of the regions that a lot of the countries that we personally don't think about when we're talking about MLBB. And the fact that now they have a platform where they can perform, where they can show the world that, we're here, we understand the meta too, and we can be just as good as long as we get the time and the platform to show the world that maybe America is the next new powerhouse in terms of continents for MLBB.
I've been hanging out on Discord.
From Africa and Europe as well.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, it's crazy, Miracle. Like, I've been reading all these threads, right? And they've been requesting like servers. Like, okay, hey, we have a lot of players from. One of them was Africa. Like, Africa really requested like a specific server because they have a lot of players who are very devoted to the game, and we don't even know about it, right? Because we've been so focused on specific regions. So having tournaments like this, it's just great to have, especially for the teams, again, who want to make it out there. But there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for waiting. We're going to be heading into the Land of Dawn here. This is USA versus Costa Rica for another best out of 3 here today. We're going to kickstart it off with this. And looking at the lineups, I wouldn't say somebody has more of an advantage. I'd just say Costa Rica just has a lot more tools when it comes to the engages. But knowing USA, right? I mean, they've pulled off a 2-0 yesterday in a very, very strong fashion as well. So, I mean, coming into this game, they shouldn't underestimate Costa Rica, but then again, show their dominance up against them here in game number 1.
You can already see, the winning matchups that they've already drafted for themselves here in the mid lane. Amazing mid prio here coming in from USA, and also in the bottom side of the map. You see that Melon is able to utilize the muddle, so really just bully AO from the lane on the carry. Very short range, so very easy to punish there on the Melissa. Seems, for both these teams, they're really not rushing into anything despite having that mid prio. USA taking things slow. They don't really want to go for anything too crazy at the start of the game.
It's actually a Purify carry here who's rocking a Quantum Charge. Like, sometimes you would see like a carry go for like a Brave Smite, right? To be a little bit more tankier, probably go for the Vengeance. That was the thing. It was actually nerfed for a while, so that's no longer something that is seen in the gold lane. But definitely, I would say that's a very hard matchup for Costa Rica coming into this matchup, right? I think this is the only lane that will probably struggle, especially from the start. Like the XP lane, I would say a fair matchup between the Terizla and the Hylos, but again, you have to get the clear advantage. As you can see, mid laners are already rotating towards the top side. The Valentina as well as Kimchi Man already getting or hoping to get that level 4 power spike before the turtle.
Turtle spawns in the game, and we don't see, any maneuvers towards it. Usually when the turtle spawns, we already see just so much pressure being placed down. Good positions in the bottom lane. Now using the go away to displace Aeon to get that extra damage with the Inspire. It's a solo kill down below for the winning matchup, and only now do USA make their move. Shark, that Primal Wrath can be stolen away by Derail there on the Valentina. Seems like she wants to go for the
penalty zone.
The MOBA stream into the back. Tarzan still able to survive now. White Horse pawning the glorious pathway down. Shark still holding on to the Primal Rat. Tarzan very low. Seems like they're just gonna try zone lit away. Shark able to go for the Primal Rat, dealing a whole lot of damage. MOBA stream gonna lose his life there as Mag Shark continues the damage with the Primal Wrath. On the Crystal Blood earlier. Good implosion now with the shove back onto White Horse, who's just so tanky. Shark, the roamer, picking up 2 kills. That's a double.
Wow, what was that coming out from the Primal Rat? Often overlooked, and I think for Shark, he really popped in the Primal Rat at the nick of time, right? Like when everybody's low, there's a kind of like a stun and a slow as well coming out from the Primal Rat. So as in the team fights, like you would expect like Costa Rica to win. You got like Forsaken Danny on the Tigreal, you got Lynn as well on the Carmilla. Plus to add it all up, you got the Terizla as well to set up the penalty zone. I would say like they popped in their ultimates way too early. That's why it was a bit hard as well when it came to the team fights in the Turtle, wherein USA just got a better hold of the Turtle and the team fights as well.
Definitely. And now you can see the way that Shark is already utilizing his lead, invading so far out. Now caught in the implosion. Does have the Primal Wrath, unable to get it done now. Forsaken Danny with a knockup onto Kimchi Man, who doesn't have the black shoes. Can't get out now. Costa Rica on the board, getting 2 kills.
This is the thing about the purifies coming through from the side of USA, or perhaps like even the flickers out, right? Like there's just either you flicker out to safety, but then there's like 2 ways to engage here for Costa Rica, like the Curse of Blood, and then right after that you have the implosion. So I think that's something that Costa Rica is using to their advantage. But here, from the top side, Tarzan and White Horse onto MOBA stream there. 2 versus 1, and now we see Mega Shark as well, giving vision out to the United States. We don't see a lot of the damage coming through just yet, but pokes are coming through though.
Yeah, Primal Wrath basic attacks now. Ale trying to dish out some damage. Melon forced back there as Kimchi Man does the same thing. Tarzan rotating towards the bottom lane. Doesn't seem like anybody's going to be picked off there. And Forsaken Danny also surviving without utilizing the flicker. So really, really well played there, saving their resources to set up for the next neutral objective, which is going to be turtle number 2. That's spawning up top. And maybe in the first turtle for Costa Rica, they weren't really able to fully utilize, these big ultimates. But this time, with a lot of the resources they saved from the previous encounter with USA down below, this should be a better spot to fight for Costa Rica.
Yeah, but the problem is MOBA Stream though is not having a good time here up against White Horse up on the XP. You see, he's already suffered 2 deaths, which is kind of like making him double think if he wants to join in the team fights, but he has to, right? He's the one that has to zone away the side of USA, and what's really deadly is also the glorious pathway coming out from White Horse that just kind of slows down every single one. There's a continued play though here from Danny.
Little Earth Shatter stop Danny there. Curse of Blood connecting on the 2 members. Actually 3. Tarzan going to be caught as well. Goes in for the like and pounds and Forsaken Danny, despite getting the implosion, will be taken out by Shark. Now, even though they got the neutral objective, the glorious pathway gets placed down. Now they're going to be ran down completely. Zeral running away onto the other side, but Kimchi Man was waiting. He knew how to just rotate over to outmaneuver Zeral, and all that time Melon was still in the bottom lane, helping out, clearing out the wave, and then going into the mid lane to take turret number 1.
Yep, it's a double lane here for Melon. Clear advantage for the gold there. And now, oh no, Ali in trouble here.
Great flank from Shark with the Earth Shatter, knocking her up. Danny has the flicker, goes in alone, will use the flicker to escape there. Tried to save Ali, but it was just way too tough of a spot to get out from.
I mean, there's a lot of slows coming out from the Lilia here of Kimchi Man. Plus, I see like a lot of the skills are being used defensively instead of offensively. And now without the flicker out, that's going to be Danny out once again. Although Costa Rica manages to kind of go in with the goal lead, but now we see the slows coming out from Whitehorse once again.
Glorious pathway there set down. Melon with the Inspire just dealing so much damage. The Mundo Zerel not able to survive despite using the Primal Wrath. Oh, she's able to get out just barely, popping the regen in time to get just a little bit of HP she needs to survive there. But 10-2, 7 minutes still. Dominant game for Team USA despite, you know, all of the initiation power, all the CC set power that Costa Rica have built for themselves in the draft. And it's a massive gold lead at this point in the game. It is 6,000 to the side of USA at 7 minutes.
It's gonna keep ballooning like this. I mean, there were definitely Costa Rica was able to get in one turtle, but they haven't been able to convert. I think that's the real problem here, right? For the United States, like you've seen, it's like a 2K lead, and afterwards it just balloons all the way to 6 to 7K, and it's all because of the turrets that they've taken in, and they never forget to convert. And right now, it seems like a team fight is gonna erupt here as MOBA stream. Tarzan.
Tarzan? Stunned up. Lin going for some damage. Tarzan be caught in the Thunderbolt there. Forsaken Danny. Good implosion on the 3 with a 3-man knockup too. Zerel with the Primal Wrap. But look at the healing. White Horse. The damage of Costa Rica just tickles the horse as he marches forward. That Revitalize really doing work. You can see Ale in the bottom side of the map looking for the trade back. And he will be able to get the tier 2. Doesn't seem like he is though. Seems like he'll be forced to recall. Does get it in time. Has done enough damage to the turret to really threaten it, to force those two members to rotate down below. It seems from Melon, even though the jungler is not alive, even though Tarzan was taken down earlier, Melon still wants to go for it. Knows that technically for Costa Rica, there's no way for them to contest.
Yep, they're that confident to take in this first lord. And we talked about this, Mirko, earlier, that you know, sometimes having the first lord can actually seal the deal here for the United States. Oh no, Lin!
Oh,
man, what a way to go.
In your own jungle. That's brutal. That is brutal. And USA, this is what they like to do when they're just so far ahead. They walk up. They have no respect for territory. Melon again doing so much damage onward there. Coming down to Tarzan with the execution, with the Lycan pounce. MOBA stream. He's the frontliner. He couldn't even soak in the damage from any one of them. Tarzan isn't even going for the full damage build. Bit of utility there, plays down with the Thunderbelt. Lin respawning back up, but Kimchi Man just zoning them away from the base turret. In the 9th minute of the game, Tarzan again walking forward inside of the base. It seems like for the Holy Defense in the bottom lane, they're going to be able to bait it out. And all this time, you probably expect, you know, that the Lord was used to go in for that base, for that siege. No, they still have the Lord marching down up top, and also a big wave down below. Dark hovering over again now. MOBA stream looking for a moment, trying to go for the penalty zone, but they're gonna have to combo it really well. White Horse walking up front again. Melon getting some good hits on, and the Lord is still at full HP. Only now do they look to go up top, and I think at this point they're gonna lose more than just that one base turret up top. It's gonna be the mid lane taken down as well. Tarzan and Melon just gunning it down slowly but surely. Now with the poke, see the glooms.
There are
back and
minions.
forth. And now should be all 3 base turrets, with them getting another wave in the bottom lane. Not too sure if they want to actually force this out though. The end of the 10th minute of the game. They aren't so far ahead. They got to respect the damage and the CC that Costa Rica still have. They're just hovering over.
Yeah, I mean, the minion waves are crashing through. We're gonna wait for that implosion, wait for that curse of blood, but there's just a lot of pokes, especially coming out from Kimchi Man, right? It makes the frontliners really tank up all of the damage. And you know, even with the Athena shield coming out from Lin and Danny, it's just a whole lot of damage coming out from the Lilia here, and it's really what's making it hard here for Costa Rica to actually move forward, have those nice setups. But then again, they can go for the punish here up against USA, but Mega Shark gonna try to go for a Lin here. He manages to escape though, but the minion waves, there's definitely a lot of pressure here coming out from the side of the United States. Again, Costa Rica, they have it in their toolkit. They can go for all of these place or counter engages up against the United States, but they choose not to do so. Instead, they just go for the clearing of the wave and manages to survive the first lord.
I feel for Costa Rica. I don't know what to say, you know? For Costa Rica, they picked up the carry because they saw the horse. They saw the Edith, some big, chunky boys that can frontline. But even with the carry, what's surprising is the fact that Shark again with armor. Now glorious pathway. Lin absolutely obliterated. Danny forced to shove back. Now a defensive implosion. It's a penalty zone to lock them down as well, but it doesn't matter. White Horse doesn't take damage. damage. Tarzan able to escape. White Horse still leading the charge of the cavalry. Finally taken low, but still is not enough. The revitalized grants them all the HP back. Now with the glooms, it leaves the base so open for everyone to go for it. It's 1-0, 11 minutes in for United States.
Can I say that the Lilia pick coming out from the side of United States and even the Melissa, it was just a lot of pokes. Plus, the glorious pathway from White Horse seems to be... It's always impeccable. Every time he lays it out, like, you just slow every single member down from Costa Rica, which is what really makes it hard for them to set up the plays. Props to them, though. Like, I have to be honest, I really like the draft coming out from them, but, you know, knowing that you're going up against the United States, you might have to pull something different, right? And they seem to have the answers with their two main damage dealers coming into this game. I was expecting to see maybe some implosions, some Curse of Bloods, but most of the time it seems to be either a defensive type of play coming out from the side of Costa Rica, as United States, they're going to be sealing this game a little bit longer. I would say like almost like 12 minutes, right? So I would say like a standard game coming out from them, but still a very dominant one coming into this game number one. And they're going to be at a match point, Mirko, for the next game.
The window kind of closed very, very early on for them. I think turtle number 2 was the best time to actually go for a lot of these fights, you know, force it out. But unfortunately for Costa Rica, they were unable to look for these fights early on, really due to USA denying that away. Because I remember turtle number 1, USA, they obviously were at a disadvantage when we're talking about pure setup for the first turtle. Costa Rica, they have a Tigreal, a Valentina that can steal their Primal Rat. They have a Terizla, and last but definitely not least, they have a Carmilla. So this composition was really built to go on for the neutral objectives. They want to contest the neutral objectives, but unfortunately, Team USA said, we're not really going to go for the contest. We're just going to farm it up. Again, utilize the power in the Roger to go for a few more, you know, farm. And it seems like for Costa Rica, they were kind of lost. It seems like they were just trying to react to the maneuvers of USA instead of being proactive. And I think with this kind of composition, you need to be proactive. You need to be the ones to start out with that first turtle. You need to be the ones calling the charge and calling a lot of the, you know, places to fight. Because if they did utilize the first turtle, so just, you know, I mean, if they use the timers properly to go for the first turtle and force a fight there, I think for sure it would have turned out a bit different, at least for the first turtle. But, you know, the consistency all throughout, the discipline for Team USA, the Shark, this man has been on top of the MLBB world couple of times, and you can definitely see the gameplay still being there. Only really dying once, overextending, and after that learning from that experience and then playing it a bit more safe.
Oh wow, it's the crossbow for the one of the items here of Shark, actually going for a little bit more of the damage eaten, apart from, you know, building defensively. And, you know, going into like the first turtle, right, like you were talking about it, Mirko, Shark was one of the players that actually really made Team USA win that fight. There were attempts from Costa Rica. They were able to get the second turtle, but definitely not enough, because by that time, the United States, they were already pushing in all of the towers from the sides, even the mid lane. So it was really difficult to kind of get the neutral objectives once the mid tower is gone. So for Costa Rica, there was a lot of defensive plays that happened, not a lot of like aggressive ones that we are actually going to be expecting from them, knowing that they got a Tigreal, they got the Carmilla, and even the Terizla, which we really didn't see much of the action. There were attempts, but it's more of like, oh, I used it defensively, not really a way to kind of change the tides of the game.
Not really. Again, like you mentioned, I think towards the end, they had to just use those abilities defensively. These proactive abilities reactively. You'd expect Edith to be the one reacting to a lot of the skirmishes, a lot of the engage potential that Team Costa Rica had, but unfortunately that was not the case. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be taking a 6-minute break before we get into the next game. So, be right back. We're back, everybody. Welcome back to game number 2, still of match number 1. USA still leading 1-0 after that dominant showing with the horse. Seems like a lot of the chat, a lot of the audience members, they really were entertained by the horse, by the White Horse.
Ban the horse. That's what they're
Ban
saying.
the horse.
Yeah, just ban the horse. They did actually. The USA banned the horse for the second game.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. So I don't know. Are they gonna be on the blue side? Are they gonna be on the red side? We're gonna have to find out, right? Like usually, I think if USA is gonna be on the red side, they do have this ban on the Hylos. A very, I would say, niche pick coming out from the United States. We've seen it also in Southeast Asia. It does work out for some of the compositions. I think the first time I've seen it, Mirko, was actually not in this patch, but like patches ago, seasons ago. I think it was it Yums or Todak that actually used it? I remember it very well because it was a Hylos coming up, and I was like, is this a roam? It's actually an XP. So it actually worked out well before, and this time, like, with Fight Horse using it, it's just an absolute menace to deal with. You don't have any way to stop it. You kind of sort of see the damage coming out from the carry, but then again, you know, there was a lot of pokes from game number 1, so it was really hard. I do see that Costa Rica has an understanding of the game, but you know, to be able to be at par with the United States when it comes to the skill and overall macro and micro gameplay is another story for them.
I think the biggest problem is the fact that technically for Costa Rica, they already had ways to try to counter the horse, right? They had the carry. They looked like, okay, carry with a lot of lockdown, that's the idea that they're going for. The fact that they already have the Valentina to steal away the Primal Wrath 2, that's 2 members that can actually deal so much damage over towards the horse. How did the horse survive a carry and a Valentina that can steal Edith all, right? They revitalize. And honestly, I think it's the fact that they played around the horse. They played around Fight Horse so much in the early game. They really enabled them. And it got to a point where even though Terizla was picked up, that's a good lane up against the horseman. It wasn't utilized properly. They weren't able to play with the strong side of the Terizla. They were not able to shut the horse down. So if they want to let the horse go again, I think they definitely have to make some of those adjustments in game number 2, where they need to rotate over the XP lane and leave the gold lane a bit more this weak side. This time, the adjustment is blue side for Costa Rica. Still, no changes in the bans. It does seem for Team USA, still with the Ling here. It might actually still also ban out the chip. But for Costa Rica, they are the ones to ban out the Valentina.
This is interesting though. Usually, like when you're on the blue side, you usually kind of like just ban away or have like these respect bans allotted for your ban slot, right? But this time they actually ban out a lot of these like meta heroes that can actually leave up to USA. But you know, no respect ban yet on the horse, which we've been talking about for the past few minutes. I'm not so sure if that's gonna be the last ban for USA, because they did that for game number 2 yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. They took away the high loss, but now Costa Rica, there's a lot to take in here. A lot of the assassins that were banned out in game number 1 have to be taken into consideration. The Zask as well. These heroes are definitely deserve that ban slot. Now USA, last ban slot, the Hayabusa was banned away earlier. Will they go for the high loss ban? It's kind of like, you know, Fight Horse is like, I'm the only one who can horse around here. Like, it has to be me that picks up that high loss. But if they don't ban it away, will Costa Rica kind of go for that? Like, will they steal away the high loss? But that kind of leaves like the Roger open for USA to take. They also got the Terizla. So there's just a lot of things to take in. And that's what you get, especially when you have this niche pick coming out from your team. You can really force the opponent to pick up like something else, or force them to steal away your pick. The high loss is actually still open, by the way.
Yeah, so I think for Team USA, they're just very, very confident that White Horse is probably the only guy who can actually utilize the horse in the American regional qualifiers. They banned out the horse yesterday against Guatemala, so maybe there's something we don't know about Guatemala, right? Maybe they've been able to utilize the high loss a lot as well in the previous games, but Costa Rica, big decision to make now. They take away the high loss, but, you know, possibly put their XP in a hero that he's not comfortable on. Mobile Stream.
Wow.
On the Terizla last time, they first picked the Hayabusa, and it just gives the opportunity for that Phoveus to be picked up together with the Cho, actually, for Team USA. So you can already see the confidence building up here for Team USA, and it's the same pattern, Burger King. We saw it yesterday. Game 1, White Horse played the horse. Game 2, they banned the horse. This time they don't ban the horse, but it's still the Phoveus pick. Exactly. Revamped Phoveus, by the way, guys. And this Phoveus was actually banned out by Costa Rica previously, game 1.
Yep. Again, this is a region or a country that does not have a loss yet here in the American regional qualifiers. And going into this game, this is match point already for the USA, and it's so bold for them to start out with a Hayabusa. There's just so many ways you can shut down the Hayabusa, shut down the early game it has. You got the Phoveus here. You got the Cho as well to kind of like make it a little bit harder here for Lin in the jungle. Such a power pick coming out from Costa Rica, but there's answers here from USA. They also got themselves a Loi here, which I believe was banned out in game number 1. A lot of diversion plays that can be made, a lot of ways to kind of disrupt USA as well with the ganks, but USA as well goes for all of these picks that are also pretty good as well, like Fovis to answer out to the Hayabusa, the Cho, and then you got a Julian to kind of wrap it all up in a nice bow and say, yep, this is going to be our lineup for the first phase now, which means that they still need a mid laner, not unless it's going to be a Julian mid, and of course something as well for Melon to go up against the Claude.
I don't know how crazy USA are with their picks here, because obviously I think the normal roles that these picks will be going to is the Julian will be going jungle, Phobius XP, and then Cho roam. But we have been seeing the Cho actually played in the XP lane. We've seen the Phobius go mid sometimes. I don't know if it's the same case for the revamped version. And also Julian we've seen in the mid lane too. And I know for sure that Hoon can actually utilize that Julian in the mid lane, right? So technically for USA, it's still all flex. Meanwhile, for Costa Rica, none of their picks are flex. We all know where the Loi, Claude, and the Hayabusa are going. And that's why we still see the Roger ban here as well. And as the Faramis comes through too. Good bans by USA, though, really just setting up for the Cho, Julian, by banning out the Tigreal and the Kufra. Two of the big roamers that can actually stop the Julian in his tracks with those dashes, that bouncing ball, and instant CC coming in from the implosion. For USA, gold lane and mage should be the picks that they go for here. I think a safe gold lane to go for would definitely be a Moskov. Good survivability as well. I think the only problem with the Moskov pick would be the Hayabusa, so they go for something a bit safer. They want to go for the Beatrix, making the gold lane a non-lane. So Melon's just going to be farming out clearing Ale a whole lot of the times. But let's see what's the response for Costa Rica here, because usually when we see Beatrix, a lot of XP laners want to go for something like a Yu Zhong to go for her, knowing that Beatrix is one of the gold laners that can actually, or can't actually, bring anything except for the flick.
You definitely need to reach that Beatrix, and having that Yuzong, right, could be good in the lane, especially up against the Phobius that still needs that level 4 power spike to get that demonic force up. So that's something that Costa Rica can take in. I would say it's a very good pickup as well with the Loi. I know it has like additional voice lines. I always like geek out about this because whenever they're together in the battlefield, you got like that additional hidden voice lines, and at the same time, there's a lot of potential for this kind of draft. They lock in the Edith as well here for the final pick. I would say that Costa Rica doesn't really have like a solid like tank in the front line, nor does USA. So I think it's a matter of again, for Costa Rica, there's a lot of potential with the Loi for the ganks, especially onto the gold lane, knowing that they have a whole lot more pokes with the Claude and the Loi. And as for USA, they need to kind of seal the deal here with their mid laner. Something for Kimchi Man. He played the Lilia earlier. I would say it's also a great wave clear regardless, and with the Hayabusa I'd still say it's a very good pick. You got the survivability with the black shoes, so I think a Lilia should still be up for consideration here for USA.
Yeah, I have to agree. If they really want to go for the safe choice, it probably is the Lilia. If it was not a Yuzong, I think the Vixana could be good, but yeah, exactly here now we have to take a look at what's the flex now. Where's the Arlet gonna go? See, that's why I was saying it's kind of, I don't know how US want to go with this draft, but obviously they can go very different ways. And it seems, yes, the Phobius will be going into the mid lane based on how it's, how it is looking right now. Arlet on White Horse, right? And Kimchi Man is on the Phobius, unless you don't actually get to see the real trades. But hey, I'll leave it up to Team USA to go for some last minute changes to make the draft that looked kind of scary up against, Costa Rica's amazing, just a very prio draft. But hey, I think they've done it. They've made the composition look very, very threatening, especially if Kimchi Man is able to utilize this Phobius properly.
Yeah, it's like USA is like, yeah, let's put out the Phobius, make them think. It's
got
actually White Horse. White Horse is going to be rocking it. But I've seen this Phobius in the mid lane. I would say clear pokes, it will definitely favor Costa Rica's Loi. But then again, getting that level 4 power spike right before the turtle fight is going to be essential, especially for this Phobius that can be a game changer, especially up against, these dash heroes coming out from Costa Rica. As we head into the land of Dawn here, Mirko, for the match point between USA and Costa Rica.
Here it is, Tarzan on the Julian, Lin on the Hayabusa. It's already a different, I think, pace in the game. Last game it was a bit slower considering Lin was on utility, so he really didn't want to go for a lot of the fights early on. Want to just go and play it safe, clear around the jungle, and then look for some of these gangs. So with Lin finally on an assassin, maybe we get to see a bit more of the aggression coming in from Costa Rica, and I think it's a great way to go up against Team USA. You need to try to match that early aggression because I don't know if you guys watched Game 1, but USA were pretty damn aggressive. Kimchi Man, though, still doing a good job in the mid lane despite being placed on a Phovius. Usually it's a bit tough there to actually clear out against someone like a Lo Yi, but the Cho definitely helps here when it comes to clear. Really good stuff early on with the Concussive Blast. They're able to actually win out, which is very, very impressive stuff.
We see Melon as well, really cornering Ale here on his lane, like making sure he doesn't get out of the turret, which is quite of course, a win here for the gold lane. And looking at how USA is playing this, they're already rotating towards the turtle side. And as you can see, the R-Lot here as well of White Horse is already chunked out to half HP. And this is what I mentioned earlier, that the Yuzong definitely has a very good advantage in the early game, not unless USA has something to say about it.
Yeah, luckily, Kimchi Man, not level 4 just yet. That could have been lethal. Lin, forced to recall just as the turtle spawns. And for Team USA, the same composed, cold-blooded USA that we saw in game number 1. They are just playing it as slow as they can, right? Not really rushing into these neutral objectives, too. It's done by White Horse, waiting for the Furious dive there. Now the gang coming down as well. Shark able to pick up first blood. Utilizing the core fundamentals of the game, man. Properly playing it around. Way the dragon now into the mobilization and the enhanced scythe. Though good G Kundo. One more hit should do it. Forsaken Danny still able to escape. Now it's Shark just going at it. Another stun down with the final slash. Takes Zerail down in the bottom lane. And it's an all-out win. Shark still wanted to go for some more. Despite not having the way the dragon goes up against the assassin. And now the demonic force procs. You can see it on top of them. And this is what makes the Phobius scary now. He can proc it himself.
I mean, they've got the side of Costa Rica so contained. Even down to the side lanes here, they made sure that they got that level 4 for Kimchi Man as well as White Horse so that they can go for the full engage. And now look at this, Mirko. They're actually invading the jungle side of Costa Rica.
Final slash coming down earlier there. Good Black Dragon for him coming down as well. Now it's going to be Kimchi Man once again jumping back and forth. Finally taken down, though, by MOBA Stream. White Horse still able to set up for Tarzan, though, to go for the clear in the jungle. So it actually ends up still being worth it for USA. There's no real shutdowns there. And Melon is just chunking the mid lane turret like it's nothing. Half of its HP. So much gold placed down on the Beatrix, who's already ahead of the Claude. And now, rotations up top. Shark noticing Ale's right there. I think they have time to purify. He does have it just right here. Purify's up. And perfectly timed now with the Blazing Duet coming down onto Melon, but still it's not going to be enough.
Diversion!
With a diversion up top. That's a good catch from Forsaken Danny and Zerail. Kimchi Man still around now, utilizing Infernal Pursuit. Back and forth. These from Magus Shark. Not too sure if they actually want to go for this. Forsaken Danny. Wow. I think anticipating the Infernal Pursuit, and he was right. Kimchi Man jumping back and forth again. Now fighting another one onto Lin. Infernal Pursuit. No. This time, not going to go for it. One more time, Lin decides to go for a risky play. And gets shot back there.
Super risky, I would say. I mean, you got a Phobius, and then you wanted to dive in, right? Like, it automatically activates the demonic force. Going back to Melon here, though, there was a nice catch coming out from Costa Rica on the top side. They played that diversion really well and was able to kind of take down Melon for the price of Ale there on the top side. Melon was already racking up the levels ahead up against Ale, and now it seems to be that case. Instantly bursted down there by the Beatrix. Another diversion play comes up, though. Melon in trouble, forced to flicker out.
Still taken down. Good shadow kill earlier by Lin. Really good placement on the quad shadow too, but that will give the opportunity to Team USA to actually just go for the turtle uncontested because the retribution was already used up earlier. Tarzan, the enhanced sword forward. Now Kimchi Man, Infernal Pursuit into the back, just going for it again. Lin able to escape just a bit right here as White Horse joins the team fight. Kimchi Man picking another. The final slash from White Horse into the Vengeance, and the last hit now. Seems like for Shark, it's another way to Dragon. Really trying to bait out the Purified. Ale does pop the Purified. Tarzan chasing it down. Enhanced Chain, forcing Ale to go and jump back. And now with the BMI backwards, Shark is still able to escape. White Horse, Vengeance, and reset again with the Thunderbelt proc. Finding the kill despite all the maneuvers from Ale.
Wow, White Horse just outmaneuvering Ale there, like going in for the retaliation, and now even under their own turret, they still got a minion wave here. And you know what, for Kimchi Man, that ultimate, having that ultimate up kind of disables Costa Rica from going in for further engages. Like once that is up, like the Infernal Pursuit, it's gonna kind of catch them off guard. And now we see again an engage from Stark. Gets bursted out instantly here by Melon, who has already been winning in the lanes. He got a double lane, got the mid lane, got the gold lane, and now he's been clearing up the wave so fast.
Forsaken Danny, even the frontliner. Now you see him, now you don't. Magic tricks here by Team USA, just utilizing all of their leads at this point of the game. Take control of the game, and that's why the Cho and the Beatrix, usually the Kaja Beatrix, is such a lethal combination. Oh no, Lin. He does have the quad shadow, though he doesn't now.
No.
Full engage. Forcing him to go for the shadow kill. There's Zappy timing it well. Melon finding the shot after the shadow kill gets used up by Lin. Well played. They do lose Kimchi Man, but I think that is a trade that they are willing to take. Still no shutdowns for Costa Rica. White Horse going for the final slash there. Fortunately, this time not able to find a target. But Melon, shout outs to him, man. He's been so consistent on this Beatrix.
Yeah, he's 3 levels ahead of Ale as well, who's already suffered 4 deaths here. 0-4-1 on the Claude. Even with the temporal range, you can imagine that he wants to go in for the full engage, like having that spammable skill sets. But now it seems to be Melon winning in the lane, and at the same time you see Melon joining a whole lot more of the team fights here coming out from the side of USA. All the turtles went to the side of USA. You see the final slash here coming out from them.
And away the dragon, right into Melon, who's just going to be able to delete Forsaken Danny's HP. Kimchi Man finding the Demonic Force procs once again. Under the turret, doesn't matter. Duriel already forced back again. Melon, you can see the cheeky plays here, already going to Renner. Maybe looking for another snipe down as Team USA play it slow. Once again, they've already gone to Lord. They really don't really... Oh, maybe they do want to still rush it. Shark jumping forward. Lin again forced out of his own jungle, and he builds the Sky Piercer. 1-4 in this game, and you know they aren't quite behind, so that is a very interesting pickup.
Yeah, we did talk about the Sky Piercer, right? Like, you get to have a little bit more deaths. Like, earlier, that was 0, no deaths coming out from Lin, and right after the Sky Piercer, suffers 1 death, but Mega Shark goes in for the gauge a little bit too deep, though.
I think they was trying to combo it together with Melon Snipe. Unfortunately for them, Zeral was able to tank up the shot, and even then, Zeral lost like a quarter. I mean, lost his HP, just down to a quarter of his health, which is very, very concerning. The Beatrix is scaled up, is snowballed out of control, rather, not scaled up, and now they're going to go for the siege in the mid lane. It does seem like even for Ale, he's going to struggle. They're going for a final slash out of 3 members, bringing him back into the Infernal Pursuit once again. Kimchi Man jumping back and forth, but it is Melon again who tries to go for the Renner's Apathy this time, unable to find its mark. Holy Defense popped in the mid lane. By the way, the game has been going on so fast. I thought that turtle was a Lord. No, they haven't even gotten the Lord. 9 minutes in, we've just entered the 9th minute of the game, and they are cracking the Holy Defense open. They're gonna go for a base turret without the Lord. Shark is 1v1ing Ale up top. The BMI defensively, Shark again. Definitely has the Jikudo coming back in again. Melon still able to kite away up top. It's gonna be a solo kill to Shark.
What was happening there on the top side? Like, we were so busy focusing all our eyes here on the engages here by Costa Rica onto their base. But then again, it's going to be the same story here for Kimchi Man. As long as he keeps dashing, he's just going to go for the Infernal Pursuit here, which is what really makes it hard here for Costa Rica, right? Like, you get chunked down really low, and then you get taken down by either Melon or White Horse. And look at how Tarzan just soloing the first Lord here. The fastest game that the United States had was 9 minutes and 57 seconds. This time, I think after this first Lord, with only the inhibitors left here and how aggressive they've been playing here for the past few minutes, it might just be a siege. Not unless, you know, Danny goes for something here, or maybe even Mobile Stray. But Melon, though.
Great pickoff. That's an amazing shutdown for Lin. It definitely looks like, you know, the Sky Piercer at least is working out for Lin. He does have a few stacks. Shark, goes into the back, finding the way. The Dragon dodging away for the Earth Shatter and finding the kill. Just as I say, the stacks might be racking up. He takes it away. Shark
Shark, the man of the game. I mean, at this point, suffering 3 deaths, diving under the turret, it does not matter as long as he gets to take down the right target. He's a man with a mission here for Shark. And I think coming into this game, Lord is marching down mid-side. Ale once again trying to make something happen over the lane onto the top side, but they have to defend up against this Lord. Half HP already as Fried Horse going in for the final slash, not fighting anything as of the moment just yet. But it seems like Costa Rica manages to clear out the Lord, but there's still enhanced minion waves coming in. So USA, again, we're gonna have to wait for Shark to make in the plays, or perhaps Costa Rica tries to go in for some play. Kimchi Man answers out with the Infernal Pursuit, and that could be something that they should watch out for, especially coming into the 12-minute mark, or rather the 11-minute mark of the game.
You can see Shark down around, wait for the way the Dragon Lin decides to go for the quad shadow. Oh no!
Oh, the final
disaster
slash too!
slash from Flying Horse into the Nemiru's Passion, and now it's just Forsaken. Danny Mellon has the triple kill. Wants to go for the Maniac. They're all going to be concealing inside now. Are they going to go for the Maniac? It doesn't seem like Forsaken Danny wants to give it to them. They're all going to dive into the base, into the fountain. Forsaken Danny with a flicker forward now, but they're just going to end the game. Same timers almost as game number 1, 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Congratulations to Team United States.
Calm before the storm for the United States. I mean, I was waiting for either a pickoff, an engage from Costa Rica, but even managing to dive into the base, you know what really sealed the deal there for the final, that final clash was the final slash actually coming out from White Horse that managed to snag in at least 3 members, and right after that was only Forsaken Danny that was left in that base. And obviously the Edict does not really have that much wave clear. It's only coming out from the Primal Rat, and going up against 5 members of the United States, definitely not an easy task to defend the base. They just lock it in. They were attempting to go for the Maniac, but unfortunately it was just game over as the clock ticked in to the 11-minute mark. I would say Costa Rica here again really was a little bit more passive here in this game as compared to like game number 1, and United States was just able to get in all of these neutral objectives very early on.
Way too early. This composition snowballed out of control way too early, and I think it is due to the first turtle. And it wasn't even, you know, a turtle take, really. Team USA just forced the fight before the turtle, and then they continued to spiral out of control with a few of these ganks and really well-timed battle spells. Well-timed usage of the battle spells. Like when they timed the battle spell after, you know, Ale has used it, because up top they went for the gank just with 1 second on that Purify for Ale, and a lot of these forced errors just being made. Some really good shots from Mellon. Gotta give props to Mellon on this Beatrix, man, because he was just lethal on the snipes. Even though you're so far ahead, it's still hard to hit, you know, those targets with the Renner. I'm pretty bad at Beatrix, so I would know. But for Shark as well, man, this play was just crazy. Waiting for the quad shadow and ultimately really shutting down Lin, and that beautiful, you know, what's it called? I think that definitely comes down. That play will go into like a top 10 most satisfying moments video, because man, 4-man final slash, you don't see that every day.
Yeah, beautifully laid out here. I mean, we thought it was just a glorious pathway for White Horse, but even the final slash was just impeccable here for this game. It's a clean sweep for the United States once again, as Costa Rica finally suffers their first series loss for the America Regional Qualifiers. We have to take a look at the overall picture here. It's going to the 12-minute mark, and I think what really made it hard for the composition here for Costa Rica, there was definitely potential with the Loi, but we didn't really see a lot of diversion plays, right? And every time Lin goes in and out with the Hayabusa, and even for the Claude, right, there's dashes, and Kimchi Man, all he needed to do was just pop in the Infernal Pursuit, and the rest of the team can actually follow up. So it was really hard. There was already the peel from that, and the United States right after that with the proper follow-up, they can really definitely wipe out Costa Rica in every single team fight. As you can see, most of the objectives, the goals, and even the damage, it all went to the side of United States, except for, of course, the tank damage. It's going to Forsaken here with the Edict. We have to take a look at the man of the hour. The MVP is none other than the horse himself, but this time he's not a horse. He's actually playing the Arlot here. 6-0-6 on the Arlot, the most satisfying final slash that you've seen to end the game for match number 2 and finally seal this series with a 2-0 for the United States. White Horse, not just with the high loss, but with the Arlot this time.
And he pulls a very cheeky little, last swap as well, man. White Horse. We thought the Phoveus for sure after seeing him on the Phoveus in game 2 yesterday against Guatemala. Turns out the Phoveus was a flex. They flexed it to mid lane, and it was on Kimchi, man. Then they picked up very late Arlet, and it just played so well into this composition, man. Having another member to have displacements, to have resets again. You can technically, right? Like, I would say the Phoveus is kind of like it's kind of like Arlet now, where you can set up for yourself, right? Back in the day, you really needed other people or your opponents to dash, or other people to displace other people. But the fact that you have 2 members just constantly jumping around with resets, one Arlet just going for CC, going for vengeance, and then the other one going for knockups, displacements, and utilizing the Infernal Pursuit. It was just really fun to see these scrambles with all these resets. It just felt like they were flying across the map everywhere. And I'm kind of disappointed in White Horse because he didn't go full damage. The game was, he was already dominant
Respect still.
from the start. There's so much respect. So props to him, but also a bit of disappointment. I thought for sure, we would see like a full damage, lethal ignition Arlet. But hey, they wanted to end the game quick. They're respecting their opponents, and we got to give credit for that.
Yeah, but it's 2-0 once again from the United States. Still continuing their win streak here for the America Regional Qualifiers. I think we're going to be seeing a whole lot more matches from them, Mirko. But for now, I believe we're going to be going on to a short break before we proceed to the next match. So why don't you do it, Mirko? Go ahead, close it.
15-minute break, by the way. So see ya. Burger Kim and Mirko out. You guys are going to be joined by Naisu and Burger Kim next.